Welcome to Western Tabletop. Today I am greeted by the lovely guest, Graham Davies from Grey for Now Games. So say hello, Graham. I'm a great fan of Graham's games. So you may have seen from last year, I did a big video on Test of Honor. I'm realizing this is coming through mirrored, but whatever. That's the Test of Honor rulebook that Graham wrote. We have a fantastic how to play video on Test of Honor itself. And for pretty much from around that point last year when that video came out is when Graham and I had been chatting a little bit about a new project, which is 0200. So 0200 is a stealth-based scenario-esque war game that's in a very similar vein to Test of Honor. And Graham's going to tell us all about the new game. But to paint the picture, these particular games are incredibly thematic, and that just comes across in the pages in these rule books. And it's very different to, I guess, your traditional war games that are, large platoons and whatever else. These are to simulate those fantastic battles that may or may not have happened, but think of your favorite wartime movies. These are the things that it's trying to emulate. So, Graham, just give us a quick spiel on what your thoughts are on 0200.
Okay, well, as you say, it's my new game. It's all about commando raids, SAS, special ops missions in World War II. There's lots of amazing historical instances of this kind of stuff happening once Churchill had put it all in motion. But there's also loads of fantastic films which have inspired it as well. So just like with, as you say, with Test of Honor was inspired by samurai movies.
Yeah.
Things like Where Eagles Dare and Guns of Navarone and all those kind of wartime adventure films. I wanted to kind of be able to put those into a game. And specifically, this one is all about night fighting.
Okay.
So stealth is at the real heart of the game this time.
That's really interesting. I'd love to get into that in a little while longer, because stealth isn't something that's really captured in many rule sets. I'd like to see what you have done in 0200 that you'd like to talk about. For the most part, it's usually a cover modifier or whatever else. So it'd be interesting to see what you've done. But paint a picture for those who aren't familiar with your work, what you have done before. So give us your story about game development.
Okay. Well, I started out many years ago in Games Workshop. I was a white dwarfer for a long time, and ended up in games development as an editor. So I was working with Rick Priestley and Alessio Cavatore and lots of the other guys there on loads of different codexes, the first Apocalypse book, lots of stuff like that. So even though I wasn't writing stuff, that was a really good kind of grounding. That's where I kind of learned the craft, if you like, from all those guys. From then I moved on to Warlord games in a roundabout fashion.
Naturally working with those kind of people.
Well, it kind of came back through various contacts and people I knew, because Warlord's was set up by people. There's a huge amount of ex Games Workshop staff there.
Yeah.
So Warlord was where I ended up writing this samurai game with Andy Hobday, and we just wrote that in our spare time. Because we were both into the idea. And then when Warlord happened to get some samurai plastics that they wanted to use, they asked us if they could use the game, and we said, oh yeah, that'd be good. So yes, we jumped at the chance. And that went very well as first edition of Test of Honor. And then again down the road, event time moved on. Both me and Andy had left, and I ended up setting up Grey for Night Games.
Yep,
it's my company now. Specifically at that point, in order to publish Test of Honor and kind of take control of that, which is when we did the current second edition of the game. And that's kind of brings you up to date to about now.
Speaking of Andy, I'm guessing that you work very closely or perhaps assisted. There seems to be some DNA in Baron War that's quite similar to Test.
We're good friends. We have separate companies. So I think there's Mortal Gods was probably the first one off that he did after Test of Honor. And I think we both like that kind of overall shape of game, with that rough number of models, kind of fairly quick to play, rather than a full-on massive battle game, which is going to take you 3-4 hours to play through. We both like that kind of thing. So yes, there's we both chat about stuff. I've been messaging this morning actually about various bits and bobs.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we he's not directly involved in 200 hours, but yeah, we still chat about Test of Honor a lot.
Oh, that's fantastic. So speaking of, you've been working on 0200 for the last year or so that we know publicly, at least. But this all kind of fell in the whole COVID timeline. So do you want to speak to any of that and how that kind of played out in trying to put this together?
Yeah, it's definitely made a difference, specifically because it was very hard to play test with anyone, or get anyone else to play test, because no one was really playing games. So that particularly led me to talking about the process far more online. So we've got the 0200 hours Facebook group, and my natural instinct is to kind of keep everything to myself until it's completely finished and perfect, and I had to kind of suppress that, and I've been much more open about the process this time, sharing drafts and ideas on the group, and that's been really useful. I've been getting so much good feedback and great ideas from people on the group, so it's been a very different process for me, just doing it in that way, and that really kind of came out of lockdown.
So speaking to that, those who are listening and are interested in game development, or perhaps are just interested in 0200, you really need to check out that Facebook group, because Graham's been consistently posting throughout the whole period. We've been having glimpses of this for almost a year, and you could go as far back as when that group was created to see the process of how the game has flourished. But I guess now that we're actually getting closer to the point that this thing might be released.
Yes, we're getting there. Pretty much everything is ready now. So the main thing that we're waiting for is the plastic miniatures. So as you know, we've partnered up with Wargames Atlantic to make some lovely multi-part plastics, which I've not done before. So that's been really interesting and exciting doing that. However, plastics take a long time to do, and Wargames Atlantic's an American company, but they also some of the process is done in China. So we're kind of at the mercy of shipping containers and waiting to book on boats and planes and things traveling thousands of miles. So that's really what I'm waiting for. Everything else is literally gone to the printers.
That's fantastic.
Guys are done. The first batch of metal models have been cast, so we're literally just waiting to hear that the molds for the plastics have arrived in America, and then we'll get a firmer timeline, and at that point I could probably firm up exactly when we can actually launch.
Fantastic. Well, it's going to be worth the wait. Wargames Atlantic, in my opinion, have some of the finest, best plastic miniatures out there. So we're really excited to see more of their World War II range that isn't necessarily explored, because we predominantly showcase bolt action as our main content on this channel. And we very much enjoy their plastics. It's just a shame that you can only get a few in the range. So actually trying to explore some of the nations that haven't been covered through Wargames Atlantic so far, particularly British Commandos, that kind of thing. I would be expecting that we might be able to get in your game before they even get any closer to, a 30 plastic sprue kind of thing. So you are close to having the plastics despite all the shipping reasons and whatever else. Would there be a point that we might actually start to see some products that might be available for pre-order in the near future?
Well, there will be a pre-order, but I'm wary of doing it too far out.
Yep.
More than a month ahead of time seems to be pushing it a bit. So it's likely to be a little while yet. I will start showing them off quite soon.
Fantastic.
Shown a smattering of the figures already on Facebook.
Yep.
We'll start to show some more as well as the weeks pass.
So should we expect a starter set with miniatures for both sides, tokens, and a rule book?
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly it. So pretty much everything you need to play, apart from some scenery and a tape measure.
Fantastic.
Is going in that box. So yeah, there'll be 30 models.
Okay. Wow.
So you've got your German sentries versus SAS.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I just want to ask as well. So the various game aids in this game, I can see that there's the game components include things that look like very similar to Test of Honor unit cards, some different icons, but some do look a little similar. What else do we have in there? We've got some upgrade cards as well, and action tokens, and the stealth dice. Yes, let's talk about stealth. Tell me what makes this unique, or how have you kind of pictured this to behave on the tabletop?
Yeah, well, as you recognise that the kind of the initiative system will be familiar if you play Test of Honor. So you're drawing tokens out of a bag.
Yep.
And again, you'll either draw one which allows you to activate a character, or one of your other guys, your troopers. So that will be familiar, but pretty much everything else is new. So the broad idea is that it's dark. So as the game starts, neither side know where the other is. So you don't know where any of the enemy troops are, so which we call covert is the term. And every time you make an action, generally moving around at the beginning of the game, there's a chance, if you roll the wrong dice face, that you'll give you away your position. So up until that point, your troops, the sentries, will just carry on patrolling.
Okay.
They'll have a fairly fixed idea of where they have to go. There'll be a patrol route that most of them have to follow.
Okay.
So they'll just be following around their patrol route, and the defending player doesn't have full control over where they go. That's one of the kind of the first big difference to a lot of games, in that you don't have that entire control about where you move your models.
Right.
So you can't move towards an enemy model, and certainly can't shoot them until they've given themselves away or they've been detected. As long as they're covert, you can't really
engage in the direct path of where that physical model is on the board, unless there's a certain amount of tokens that might give away their position because they've rushed or something else. So are we expecting perhaps halfway through a game, perhaps turn 3 or so on, that all the stealth is kind of out the window, or is it actually designed to actually play the whole way out?
Well, yes, there's a system where the defenders start as a calm and then become suspicious, and then ultimately the alarm is raised. At which point reserves will come on and they get more, but it's easier for them to shoot and stuff. But the stealth system still stays in place.
Right.
So yes, as everyone shooting guns and things are much more likely to give themselves away. But there's still nighttime. It's still nighttime. There's still scope. So if you don't want to just blaze away with your guns, to maybe send some guys sneak around the side, try and sneak into the objective in a stealthy manner, or still get into better positions against the enemy. So that system does carry on throughout the game.
And do we have stealthy takedowns and those kind of things as well?
Yes.
Yep.
One of the big breakthroughs actually was giving models a facing. So unlike Test of Honor, you've got a back and a front.
Yep.
So you just kind of imagine a line going through the model's shoulders, and essentially, you can only have line of sight to your front. So if you attack from behind, if you attack while you're covert, you're getting loads of bonuses, and all of a sudden you can do these fantastic silent takedowns, or just shoot them in the back and be fairly confident. So that's a big element, and it also creates a lot of fun as you kind of try to sneak past the sentries. So the sentries are going in one direction, you can nip behind them potentially. Although there's a chance they'll turn at just the wrong moment and catch you. So there's all of that going on, and there's all those different elements create a lot of fun.
So you were talking about an attacking and defending player. Does that change the amount of models that are taken for each kind of scenario?
Generally, yes. The defenders will have more guys.
But just unaware what's happening.
Probably just because of the kind of the points cost. So a basic sentry is 1 point, whereas your basic SAS trooper is 2. So very, very roughly, the defenders are likely to have double. However, usually half of the defenders will stay off the table as reserves and only come on when the alarm is raised.
Right.
So at that point, it all gets quite exciting.
And what kind of objectives have you thrown in here? What kind of missions are we playing?
So I'm just going to pick up my sample copy of the book here.
Oh, it exists.
It does, but this isn't the final print run, but just a test copy. But so there's a basic mission where there's a you're being hunted by the enemy, so you're simply trying to get off the other side of the table. That's kind of a learning mission, if you like. Then we have sabotage missions.
So demo charges on a bridge or something like that.
Demo charges, trying to capture an enemy officer, trying to gather intelligence and kind of search the buildings and get away with what you found. And then the most complicated mission in there is taking out an anti-aircraft gun, which is creating a lot of noise. So it changes a lot of, whenever it fires, it changes the dynamic of the stealthy people running around. It's a bit easier to get around without being heard. But at the same time, there's bombs raining down because you're in the middle of an air raid.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic. Earlier, we talked about inspirations from movies. Is there anything in the gaming scene that kind of pointed you in this direction? Board games, other miniature games, anything like that?
Not specifically that I've played, no. I mean, I always actively try and find a niche that's not really being done at the moment. So I kind of specifically look for something that I'm not aware of, really. I know there are kind of particularly kind of board games and things in this kind of area. Classic Escape from Colditz, things like that.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, well, fantastic. If there's anything else you want to know, where can we find more about 0200?
Right, so we have, as we've mentioned, the Facebook group. If you alternatively, you can go to Grey for Now Games, the web store. So there's links there, there's information there, and ideally sign up to the newsletter to make sure you know exactly what's happening. And there'll definitely be free stuff and offers and things for newsletter subscribers, because that's helpful.
So if you stayed it all the way to the end, we'll throw some links in at the bottom of this video that will have the newsletter, Grey for Now Games, 0200.com, and the Facebook group. That's all the great places to check out what is happening. Graham, do you have anything else to tell us what your next project might be after this is all released? Or we haven't even got that far.
I'm not gonna give anything away at this point,
but there's more to come.
I'm just at the point now where I'm starting to think, what could be game number 3? So I'm thinking about it at this point. It's a book full of ideas and going, maybe it could be that one, or that's the hardest decision is picking one. Fantastic.
Well, thanks for coming on. It was great to talk to you. And we'll be sure to follow up on this release for 0200. Very keen to get a copy and try this out. Tests of Honor happened to be one of my favorite games from last year. And I recommend that even if you may or may not be into this World War II stuff we're talking about, Tests of Honor is absolutely fantastic. And my key selling point for this type of game and Graham's style of games is they're just so easy to learn. This particular rule book, it's 70 pages, but it's tiny. You could skim through this, as I did when I first learned the rules, within 5 or 10 minutes, and you're going to know the basics of these games. And that's complemented by all the game aids that are in it, but also the board size and the miniatures as well. It just really pushes that cinematic aspect that tends to get forgotten in other games. So it's quite unique. So I'm super excited for 0200. World War II tends to be one of my favorite topics. But yeah, if the game is like Tests of Honor plus stealth and it's World War II, I'm all in. So I really recommend you guys check it out too. 0200 on Facebook is probably the best place to see what is happening. So thank you, Graham.
Thank you very much.